Chalo, today we'll be going ahead and discussing the chapter of payment of taxes. I hope you guys have gone ahead and practiced question answers till here. Yes, sir, we have gone ahead and practiced question answers for all the other chapters which we were done till here. Now, I will go ahead and first of all give a quick linking. Payment of taxes chapter today. Payment of taxes. Everyone listen to me very carefully. Number one, you started learning GST with goods or services. Goods or service has to be supplied. Supply can be either interstate supply or supply can be either intrastate supply. Interstate supply, IGST shall be levied. Intrastate supply, CGST will be levied. Once GST is levied, GST has to be collected and paid by a taxable person. Sir, how will he collect and pay? He will have to go ahead and calculate GST is equal to value of supply into rate of tax. Once you know the value, you will go ahead and prepare tax invoice, credit note, debit note and delivery challan. Now, once you go ahead and raise the tax invoice, your liability to pay will come. Liability to pay comes at the time of supply. Supposingly, okay, I will go ahead and say once you raise the tax invoice, you will maintain your accounts and you will send the goods to the other person with the help of a e-way bill. Now your liability comes. Liability is supposingly 1000 rupees. What will you do? You will go ahead and use your input tax credit. For an example, 500 rupees input tax was there. You will go ahead and use it. Remaining amount, you will have to go ahead and make the payment, and hence comes the chapter of payment of taxes. Let's go ahead and quickly do a section revision till here. We started learning GST with goods or services. Now, 1 minute. Sir, goods section number 252, services section number, sir, 2102. Sir, goods and service has to be supplied. Supply section number 7, supply section number 8, 8A, composite supply, B, mix supply. Interstate supply, section number 7 of the IGST Act. Intrastate, section number 8 of the IGST Act. Section number 9, Territorial Waters of India. 10, 11, 12, 13 talks about place of supply. 14 talks about OIDAR. 15 talks about tourist. And 16 talks about zero rated supply. IGST का levy section was section number 5 of the IGST Act. CGST का levy section was section number 9. Some people also asked for composition levy section number 10. Yes, sir. Point is clear. Now, there was a chapter of exemption over here. Exemption is granted under section number 11 of the CGST Act and section number 6 of the IGST Act. Sir, then GST has to be collected and paid by a taxable person. You remember, sir, section number 22 went ahead and told about people who are liable, 23 people who are not liable, 24 compulsory registration, 25 procedures, 26 deemed registration, 27 CTP and NRTP, 28 told about, quickly tell me everyone, 28 told about amendment, 29 told about, sir, cancellation, 30 told about revocation of cancellation. Then we had value of supply chapter. Value of supply section number 15 we went ahead and learned. 15.1 told about transaction value. 15.2 told about topics to be added. 15.3 told about discount. 15.4 told about the various valuation method. And then we had gone ahead and learned rule number 31A, rule number 32, rule number 33 which told about pure agent, rule number 34 rate of exchange, and rule number 35 inclusive value, how to go ahead and make it exclusive. Yes, sir, we remember. Now, we learned tax invoice ka chapter. Tax invoice ka chapter mein we learned section number 31, which told about the various tax invoice, receipt vouchers, etc. 32 told about prohibition. 33 told about pure agent. 32 section number told about, 33 told about tax amount to be shown separately. 34 told about credit note and debit note. Delivery challan was rule number 55. Accounts and records. Section number 35 went ahead and told about the various accounts and records to be maintained. 36 went ahead and told about period of retention. E-way bill. Section number 68 read with rule number 138 and then 138A to E. Done, sir. Point is clear. Time of supply. Section number 12. Section number 13. Section number 14. Now, ITC, we went ahead and learned section number 16, who is eligible, eligibility and eligibility and condition. 17 went ahead and told about apportionment of credit and block credit. 18 went ahead and told about, sir, special circumstances. Yes, sir, we remember till here. Now, listen to me very carefully. Along with the chapter of ITC, we have job work also. Job work, section number 19, section number 143, and rule number 45 is there in the chapter of job work. I hope you guys have gone ahead and studied the chapter of job work. Yes, sir, we have done it. The next chapter was input service distributor. Sir, ISD was section number 20 and section number 21. Now listen to me very carefully. Now we are in the chapter of payment of taxes. Payment of taxes chapter starts with section number 49 and section number 50. Let's go ahead and get it started now. All the sections which are there, I've gone ahead and put it over here. Payment of taxes is the chapter which we are going to do now. ठीक है sir, चलो let's go ahead and do the chapter of payment of taxes. Huh. Now let's go ahead and do the chapter of payment of taxes. Everyone in your chapter of payment of taxes over here now. Payment of taxes. Sir, how does it work out? Let me first go ahead and give you a quick glimpse. Whenever you become liable, you have to go ahead and pay the GST to the government. How does it work, sir? Whenever one registered person, whenever one taxable person goes online and takes registration, no, the online gst.gov.in opens three accounts for him. Sir, what are the three accounts? One is known as a e-liability ledger, one is known as a e credit ledger, and one is known as a e cash ledger. Okay, sir. Now, e-liability ledger which is there, e-liability ledger may all your liabilities will be debited. All your liabilities, supposingly, sir, your self-assessed liability which is there, you have gone ahead and assessed that you have to pay 10,000 to the government. Whatever you self-assess also will be debited over here. Sir, if the proper officer has gone ahead and raised a demand, that 10,000 rupees also will be debited over here. Might be any amount of interest etc which you have to pay. For an example, 2,000, that will also be debited over here. Sir, how will you go ahead and pay your liability? Whatever you purchase on that input services and capital goods, you end up paying GST. Yes, sir, you end up paying GST. That GST ka input tax credit you can go ahead and claim. When you go ahead and claim the credit, when you avail the credit, the amount is credited in your e-credit ledger. So, sir, it will be credited over here. For an example, you have a credit of 10,000. What will you do with this credit? First of all, government goes ahead and says, Ramesh, you have to go ahead and use it to pay your liability. So here it will be debited whatever the amount you use to pay your liability. 10,000 will be debited over here. You will go ahead and use the 10,000 rupees over here. Okay, sir. Now, out of 22,000, 10,000 you paid. Okay, sir, what about the remaining 12,000? You have to go ahead and deposit in your e-cash ledger. 12,000 you'll have to deposit, and then you will have to go ahead and use it towards the payment of your liability, and you will use 12,000 rupees over here, and the chapter gets closed. That's it. You always have to go ahead and remember, first e-liability ledger, payment through e-credit ledger, and then payment through the cash ledger. Let's go ahead and get it started now. Taxable person, whenever you become liable, whenever a person becomes liable, he will go online and take registration on the gst.gov.in, which is known as the common portal. Now, three accounts will be opened by the portal. The portal will go ahead and open three accounts which are there. Number one is known as the e-liability ledger. As per rule number 85, the e-liability ledger is being maintained. E-liability ledger, the PMT01 is the format. Okay, then we have the e-credit ledger. E-credit ledger is maintained in GST PMT02. Rule number 86 talks about e-credit ledger, and rule number 87 talks about, sir, e-cash ledger, and the format is GST PMT05. Sir, what will happen over here? First of all the liabilities will be debited. Whatever is your liability, whatever you are liable to pay, liabilities will be debited in this ledger. As per your return, furnished by the taxable person, that is your self-assessed liability. You have gone ahead and assessed a liability. Supposing you have to pay to the government 10,000 rupees, that will get debited over here. Okay, sir. Then, as determined by the proper officer went in and determined that you have not gone ahead and paid some taxes, and he went ahead and told me, Ramesh, you have to go ahead and pay additional 10,000 rupees. For that, he has gone ahead and raised a demand order. Might be these two amount, if you don't go ahead and pay on time, interest may also accrue. Supposing there is a 2,000 rupees ka interest which you have to go ahead and pay. Now, sir, whatever any interest etc. is there, also that will be debited. So, total amount of 22,000 you have to pay. So, for an example, number one, as per your liability, it is 10,000 rupees. You did not go ahead and pay the 10,000 on time, then interest ka liability also will come. Whatever the proper officer goes ahead and says, that amount also you are payable. So, 22,000 you have to pay. Sir, how will you pay? First, you will go ahead and use your e-credit ledger, and then you will use your e-cash ledger, and accordingly the amount will be credited to the e-liability ledger. Now, sir, always remember TTRC IPLO. TTRC IPLO. Sir, what is this? TTRC IPLO. TTRC IPLO. This amount always has to be paid through cash. You can't use your credit. Sir, T for any TDS if you have to pay. Sir, if you are a TCS collector, TCS amount. R for reverse charge mechanism ka liability. Sir, then C for composition tax. If you are a composition dealer, you will never get ITC. So whatever you have to pay, you have to always pay in cash. Okay, sir. I for interest. Interest also always has to be paid in cash. P for penalty. Any amount of penalty which is there also has to be always paid in cash. L for, sir, late fee. Any late fee which is payable by you also has to be paid in cash. Any, sir, O for any other amount, TT, any other amount which is there also has to be paid always in cash. Everyone listen to me very carefully over here now. TTRCIPLO. Always remember, interest, penalty, late fee or any other amount, you always have to go ahead and pay in cash. They are telling shall be debited through e-cash ledger and e-liability ledger shall be credited. The next one over here is, sir, if I have a liability which is payable, which liability do I have to go ahead and pay first? Should I go ahead and pay the last month ka liability first, current month ka liability first, or I have to go ahead and pay what is raised by the proper officer through a demand order? Always remember one thing, you have to go ahead and pay self-assessed tax and dues related to return of the previous tax period. First, you have to go ahead and pay the amount of liability of the previous tax period which you have self-assessed. Then, whatever is the self-assessed tax liability, etc., of the current tax period. Then, any other amount with the proper officer. Then, of the current tax period, and then any other amount under the act, including demand. So, sir, first you pay last month ka liability, then current month ka liability, then any other amount which is there, which has been raised, might be demand order, etc. You have to go ahead and pay. Remember this, in the exam sometime they go ahead and ask what is the manner of discharge of liability. Next, sir, e-credit ledger. Always, first of all, e-credit ledger mein first will be credited whatever you go ahead and claim. If you are going ahead and claiming any input tax credit, government will go ahead and give you immediately, provisionally the credit shall be given. Credited to credit ledger is ITC, self-assessed in the return. In the return, you have gone ahead and told, sir, I am liable for 1 lakh rupees. Government provisionally will go ahead and give you that amount as per section number 41. Provisional credit is given. Later, government will go ahead and verify. But as of now, provisionally, how much you ask in your return, government will go ahead and give it to you. Then, sir, it will be debited. Means you will go ahead and use your credit to pay your liability. So, sir, amount can be used for making payment towards your output tax. Very important point to note over here. Whenever you have credit can be only used to pay your output tax liability. Always remember, reverse charge mechanism liability has to be paid in cash. Credit cannot be used. Credit can be only used to pay your output tax liability. Reverse charge liability is your input tax liability. Credit cannot be used. Then the manner of utilization. Sir, how will I go ahead and use IGST, CGST, SGST. Should I use IGST first, CGST first? I'll tell you how you have to go ahead and use. Always remember IGST. Always pick your IGST ka input tax credit first, and IGST should be used to pay your IGST first. If there is anything remaining, then you can go ahead and use to pay your CGST or SGST in any proportion, any manner. You can go ahead and use might be your IGST which is remaining to pay only your CGST or only your SGST or 50-50, 50-40, 60-40, however you want, you can go ahead and use it. Then, sir, next, IGST should be exhausted. Only then you have to go ahead and pick the second one, CGST. CGST, please go ahead and use to pay your CGST. If anything is remaining, then you can use to pay your IGST. Then we had third one, SGST. Sir, SGST should be used to pay your SGST. Then SGST, anything remaining, should be used to pay your IGST. Always remember one thing. Next, last one, fourth one, CGST can never be used to pay SGST, or SGST can never be used to pay CGST. This is something which you have to remember whenever you are using your credit. Sir, first of all, always use your IGST to pay IGST, then IGST to pay CGST, SGST in any order, any proportion. IGST should be exhausted, then only you start using your CGST ka credit. CGST का credit for CGST, then you use for IGST, SGST का credit for SGST, then SGST का credit for IGST. CGST to SGST or SGST to CGST is never possible. Very, very important for your exam. 100% you will require it in your exam. Done, sir. Point is clear. IGST to IGST, then IGST to CGST or SGST or UTGST in any order, any proportion. IGST should be exhausted, then CGST to CGST, then CGST to IGST, SGST or UTGST to SGST or UTGST, then SGST or UTGST to IGST, CGST to SGST or SGST to CGST is never possible. Done, sir. Point is clear. Remember always, if you are registered in a state, you will have SGST. If you are registered in a UT, you will have UTGST. Either of them, same treatment for CGST and UTGST. Done, sir. Point is clear. Now, sir, I want to pay my liability. I use my credit. Remaining amount, I'll have to go ahead and deposit. How do I go ahead and make a deposit? In my e-cash ledger. Always remember one thing. If you are a taxable person and you want to go ahead and means you are a registered person now, taxable person also includes a registered person. Yes, sir. Now, if you are a person who wants to go ahead and deposit some amount in your ledger, e-cash ledger, always remember, if your liability is CGST tax, deposit CGST tax only. If your liability is cess, then deposit cess only. If your liability is CGST interest, deposit CGST interest. Whatever you have to pay, that only head may you should make the deposit. Remember this always. Done, sir. Point is clear. How do I go ahead and deposit? First, you have to go online and generate a form which is GST PMT06 on the common portal. It shall be valid for 15 days. When you go ahead and generate the form, common portal identification number, CPIN, common portal identification number, which is a 14-digit code, will be generated. Basically, one form will be generated. In the form, you will see CPIN is generated. Then you have to go ahead and make the payment. Always remember, whenever you are going ahead and making the payment, commission always has to be borne by you only, because you are paying the tax. You only have to bear the commission. You can pay the tax through internet banking, credit card, debit card, NEFT, RTGS. Over the counter means you can go ahead and deposit through cash, check or DD also, but the maximum amount per period, per challan, per tax period through cash, check or DD is 10,000 rupees only. Government wants to discourage cash transactions over here. OIDAR also, when he wants to deposit money in his cash account, means e-cash ledger, he can go ahead and use international money transfer. International money transfer ke through OIDR, who is from outside India, can deposit money in his e-cash ledger, and then he can go ahead and use his e-cash ledger to pay his liability. Done, sir. Once you generate a challan, CPIN gets generated, you make the payment. Once you make the payment, sir, when the amount goes to the government account, that is deemed as the date of deposit of cash, deposit of tax. I gave the check on 1st of January, deposited in the government account on 3rd of January. 3rd of January shall be deemed 3rd of January shall be deemed as the date of deposit of tax. Done, sir. Point is clear. Once your tax get deposited, the CPIN along with the CPIN, SIN number gets generated. Challan identification number. Challan identification number, which is an 18-digit code, 14-digit CPIN was there. For an example, you went ahead and used HDFC. So the 14-digit before that HDFC, they will go ahead and add the bank code also, and that is known as a Challan identification number. Now the amount will get credited to your e-cash ledger. Yes, sir. Point is clear. Always remember one thing: when you have to pay, when you have to go, you have gone ahead and paid someone. Means someone has gone ahead and deducted TDS or TCS on your behalf. When they go ahead and give it to the government, government will give you the credit of TDS and TCS also in your e-cash ledger. Done, sir. Now my e-cash ledger amount is there. What will I go ahead and do with that? It is telling whenever credited to the e-cash ledger, every deposit made towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. Whatever you deposit, that will be credited. You can go ahead and use it for the making of payment towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. Whatever you deposit, you can go ahead and use it towards the making of the payment of that tax, interest, penalty or late fee. Sir, I am an unregistered person. Then, Baba, you will be given a temporary identification number and you can go ahead and use that number to deposit your tax. Done, sir. Registered person can go ahead. For an example, everyone listen to me very carefully. This is CGST, tax, interest, penalty, late fee or any other amount. I went ahead. This is CGST, SGST, IGST and cess. Okay, now or UTGST over here. If you are in a UTGST will be there. Always remember one thing, these are known as major head of tax. Okay, sir, these are known as major head of tax. Every major head has 5 minor heads. 5 minor heads of tax is there for every major. Every major has how many head of tax? 5 minor heads of tax. If you went ahead and deposited, supposingly CGST tax, 10,000 rupees, and later you realize, oh no, I should have gone ahead and deposited not in CGST tax, I should have deposited in SGST interest 10,000 rupees. Then, sir, always remember, if you have deposited in CGST tax can be used to pay CGST tax only. But one option government went ahead and told, if you have a liability of SGST interest, what you can do is from your CGST tax head, you can transfer the amount to SGST interest. Means wherever you want, you can transfer. Just use one form GST PMT09, transfer to the correct head where you wanted the amount, but by mistake you had deposited in some other head. You can transfer the amount to another head and then you can go ahead and use it. For an example, I have to pay SGST interest. So, sir, I have deposited in CGST tax by mistake. What to do? From CGST tax, transfer it to SGST interest and then use it. You can't go ahead and use CGST tax to pay your SGST interest. You have to transfer it in your cash ledger. You have to transfer and then you can go ahead and use it. That is what is being told over here. Sir, registered person may transfer tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount from e-cash ledger of CGST to e-cash ledger of IGST, CGST, SGST, UTGST or cess using form GST PMT09. Now, I transfer from here to here. Government will imagine that when government is transferring from here to here, government has gone ahead and given you a refund from here and you have gone ahead and made a deposit over here. See, such transfer from the e-cash ledger shall be deemed to be a refund and such transfer to the e-cash ledger shall be deemed as a deposit. Done, sir. Sir, can I go ahead and transfer from here to here, here, Baba, wherever you want, you can go ahead and transfer. But always remember, whatever you have to pay, there only deposit has to be done. If you have done a wrong deposit, you have to first transfer using GST PMT09 and go ahead and use it. Yes, sir. Always remember, in your exam also, e-cash ledger cross utilization is not possible. E-cash ledger, what you deposit, only for that you can use it. But one option is there, if wrong deposit is done or you have gone ahead and deposited in some other head, you can first transfer using PMT09 and then you can go ahead and use it. Done, sir. Point is clear. Next. Any amount balance in your e-cash ledger, you can go ahead and ask for a refund. Now, if you come to the right hand side, major head, I have gone ahead and told you, these are known as the major head of tax. Sir, what do you mean by minor head of tax, minor head, all this tax, interest, penalty, late fee are known as minor head. It is told over here major head and minor head. Now, there was a maximum 10,000 rupees which you can go ahead and deposit in cash. Yes, sir, you can go ahead and deposit maximum 10,000 over the counter. But, sir, is there any exception to the rule? Can anyone go ahead and deposit more than 10,000? Yes, Baba. Restriction of 10,000 over the counter is not applicable in the following cases. In which cases restriction of 10,000 rupees is not applicable? Everyone over here. On deposits made by government department or any other deposit by persons who are notified by the commissioner. Everyone, number one, who can go ahead and deposit more than 10,000 rupees in cash? Number one, it is the government department or any other deposit by person who are notified by the commissioner. If you are a person who is notified by the commissioner, then you can go ahead and deposit more than 10,000 in cash. Secondly, person or other PO, proper officer or other officer authorized to recover outstanding dues from any person. So proper officer came to your place, you had a demand to pay, you paid the whole 1 crore rupees demand in cash. Government went ahead and recovered the money from you, including recovery made through attachment or sale of movable, immovable property. They went ahead and attached your property, sold it, and they have recovered the amount. Now, officer has 1 crore rupees cash with him. Will he take it home? No, he can go ahead and deposit more than 10,000 also in cash. Next, proper officer or other officer authorized for the amount collected during investigation, enforcement activity, or any ad hoc deposit which is there. If during investigation they went ahead and found out some cash more than 10,000 rupees also, they can go ahead and deposit. Who? Proper officer or any other officer who is authorized. There's something called a EFPB, Electronic Focal Point Branch. For an example, HDFC is an authorized bank. Now, HDFC will have so many branches across India. Now, all the branches across India of HDFC will not go ahead and have government account. HDFC for pan-India basis will appoint one branch saying you are the electronic focal point branch. You will maintain all the government account, CGST, HGST, IGST, UTGST account. Now, if anyone is going ahead and depositing tax from anywhere in India, the amount will come to the electronic focal point branch. That is what is being told. EFPB, branches of authorized bank, whichever banks are authorized of their authorized to collect the GST, whichever banks are authorized to collect GST, each authorized bank to nominate one branch as the electronic focal point branch for pan India basis. Done, sir. Point is clear. Now, we have rule number 86A. Rule number 86 goes ahead and says, if you have gone ahead and taken some ITC on which the officer feels that you should not have taken, then the officer will go ahead and block that credit. For an example, you have gone ahead and taken some credit on the basis of bogus invoice. An officer has gone ahead and traced the supplier of that bogus invoice. Officer will go ahead and block the credit in your e-credit ledger, saying the supplier had issued a bogus invoice. You took the credit on the basis of bogus invoice. We will block the credit. So let's go ahead and see over here. Rule number 86A talks about blocking of credit by the commissioner. Commissioner or officer authorized has reason to believe that ITC available in the e-credit ledger has been availed fraudulently. You have gone ahead and taken the ITC fraudulently, or you are ineligible. He may not allow the debit of such amount equal to the credit in the e-credit ledger for discharge of liability or for claiming a refund. For an example, in your ledger there is 1 crore rupees, e-credit ledger mein 1 crore rupees, or supposingly 10 lakh rupees you have in your e-credit ledger. Officer is of the thought that 10 lakh rupees ka credit, 5 lakh rupees ka credit, you have gone ahead and taken on the basis of bogus invoice, etc. That 5 lakh rupees ka credit, he will block it and he will tell you, you can't go ahead and use it also, you can't go ahead and claim a refund also. Sir, what can be the various reasons for blocking ITC on the basis of non-existent supplier? For an example, you took the ITC and officer is telling that supplier is only not there, Ramesh, or not conducting business from the declared place of business. Ramesh, we went to check the supplier and the supplier was not going ahead and doing business only from the place which he has gone ahead and declared as his place of business. From the place which he is gone ahead and declared as his registered place of business, he is not doing business only. It means the supplier is not existent only. It means the supplier is a person who might be a fraud, and hence he was going ahead and issuing bogus invoices. Ramesh, your credit will go ahead and block it. Next, input tax credit without receipt of goods services on both goods, services or both. Section number 16 goes ahead and says you should take the credit only when you have the tax paying document. You don't have the document only. How come you took the credit? They will go ahead and block the credit. Next, ITC on the basis of document with respect to which tax is not paid to the government. Sir, you went ahead and purchased from the supplier. Supplier did not pay the tax to the government. Government will go ahead and block the credit. You should buy always from trusted suppliers only. Recipient non-existent or not conducting business from the declared place of business. I am only taking the credit. Officer went to my place of business and he's saying Ramesh online too. He's taking credit also. He's filing return also. But when we went to see his place of business, he's not there only. He will go ahead and block my credit. Then ITC without document. ITC without document means you don't have the debit note, credit note, or okay, sorry. Here it says ITC without receipt of goods, services, or both means you did not go ahead and receive the goods, services, or both. You received bogus invoice. You bought bogus invoices and you are taking the credit. This one is, sir, ITC without tax invoice, debit note, or any other document. You don't have the document only and you are going ahead and taking the credit. Then your credit shall be blocked. Then commissioner or officer authorized. Okay, these are the reason why he will go ahead and block your credit. Why will he block? Number one, supplier not existent. Number or not doing business from the declared place of business. Recipient non-existent or not doing business from the declared place of business. ITC without receipt of goods, services, or both. Block credit. Sorry, ITC without receipt of goods, services, or both. You are taking bogus invoice ka basis pe credit. You have not received the goods only. You are going ahead and taking the credit. They are going ahead and telling, sir, or they are going ahead and telling Ramesh, you don't have the document only. How come you are taking the credit? They will go ahead and block the credit. Done, sir. Point is clear. Now, sir, after blocking, if commissioner or officer authorized, if satisfied that the condition for disallowing no longer exists, means they had gone ahead and disallowed the credit, but now they feel that they should not go ahead and disallow the credit. They are telling unblocking can be done. They may allow such debit, means officer can go ahead and allow the debit if officer feels that the reason for blocking is no more existent. Sir, always remember they can go ahead and restrict, means they can go ahead and block the credit maximum for 1 year. It means within 1 year they should call you, do all the assessments and close it off. Done, sir. Point is clear. Restriction can be maximum 1 year. Rule number 86B over here. Rule number 86B goes ahead and says, Ramesh, restriction on use of amount in the e-credit ledger. Government went ahead and told that, sir, whenever one person is going ahead and paying his tax liability, for the payment of the tax liability, at least 1% cash should be paid. It means 99% you can go ahead and use your e-credit ledger to pay your liability, but 1% has to be paid in cash. It says if you are a registered person plus your value of supply excluding exempt supply and zero rated supply in a month is greater than 50 lakh rupees, he shall not use e-credit ledger to discharge his output tax liability in excess of 99%, means you can use your e-credit ledger. How much? 99% only. Remaining 1% has to be paid in cash. But this restriction is not applicable if you are a registered person or proprietor or karta or managing director or any two partner, whole-time directors or member of managing committee of association or board of trustee have paid greater than 1 lakh income tax in each of the last 2 financial year. So if you have gone ahead and paid greater than 1 lakh rupees income tax, it means government is telling you are a trusted person. For you, this restriction of paying 1% in cash is not applicable. This payment of 1% in cash, government have gone ahead and made mandatory so that those people who are frauds, who are issuing bogus invoices, for them it becomes a problem, because what they were going ahead and doing, they are passing on the credit of 1 crore rupees, input credit also 1 crore rupees. Government is going ahead and telling how come it is possible, at least 1% you have to pay in cash. So government went ahead and told Ramesh, this restriction is not applicable if you are a person whose income tax has been paid more than 1 lakh rupees in the last 2 financial year. Done. Then registered person having refund of greater than 1 lakh rupees in the preceding financial year on account of unutilized credit or inverted duty structure. Everyone over here, registered person has received refund greater than 1 lakh rupees in the preceding financial year on account of unutilized ITC under section number 54 3 1 and 2. 1 and 2 goes ahead and talks about if you have unutilized ITC, you can go ahead and claim refund only in two scenarios. Number one, you have gone ahead and done export, LUT or bond is given, unutilized ITC का credit you are asking for refund. और number two, inverted duty structure का case में whenever you are going ahead and asking for refund, they are going ahead and telling registered person has received refund greater than 1 lakh. If you have gone ahead and received greater than 1 lakh rupees ka refund, you will tell, sir, I am a trustworthy person. Already I have gone ahead and received a refund greater than 1 lakh rupees. Done, sir. Point is clear. Registered person has discharged output tax liability through e-cash ledger greater than 1% of the output tax liability applied cumulatively up to the said month in the current financial year. If cumulatively you have already gone ahead and paid more than 1% in cash, then Baba, they are going ahead and telling you don't have to go ahead and do this. Compliance of 1% means till date. Cumulatively, you have already gone ahead and paid more than 1% in cash. Then why will you go ahead and comply with 1% payment? It is not 1% payment. Every month you have to go ahead and do. If cumulatively also you are satisfying the condition, then also it is okay. Registered person is government department, public sector undertaking, local authority or a statutory body. Then in that scenario also they are going ahead and telling 1% ka restriction shall not be applicable. Remember this for your exam. I believe rule number 86B, rule number 86A becomes very, very important. Now listen to me very carefully. Now, the next one we have over here is section number 50. Section number 50 goes ahead and talks about interest on delayed payment of tax. What is it going ahead and telling? Ramesh, listen to me very carefully, everyone. For an example, I had to go ahead and file my return for the month of April. April month ka return, I had to go ahead and file by 20th of May. Now, 20th May, I did not go ahead and file my return. Also, I did not go ahead and file, and hence payment of tax also I did not go ahead and do. When you don't go ahead and file your return, for an example, you filed your return on 30th May. Because of late filing of return, you have to pay late fee, which is discussed in your chapter of returns, and for the late payment of tax, you have to go ahead and pay interest, which is discussed now. It says every person who failed to pay the tax shall pay with interest at the rate of 18%. Proviso, interest shall be, earlier the word used was levied, now the word used is payable. So the amendment for section number 50, there is no amendment at all. Actually, there was drafting mistake where they were earlier using the word levied. Now they have gone ahead and changed it to payable. Interest shall be payable on the tax paid by debiting e-cash ledger. What do you mean by this? For an example, my question to you guys is, your output tax liability is 10 lakh rupees. Your input tax credit is 5 lakh rupees. My question is, you are liable to pay interest on net tax liability which you are going to pay through your e-cash, which is 5 lakh rupees, or interest has to be paid on 10 lakh rupees is my question. Quickly tell me, everyone, you are required to pay interest on 10 lakh rupees or interest on 5 lakh rupees. Quickly tell me. Quick, everyone. Sir, we are required to pay the interest on 5 lakh rupees. Yes, sir. Point is clear. You are required to pay interest on 5 lakh rupees. Earlier also it was the same. Now also it is the same. You are required to pay interest on 5 lakh rupees, which is your net tax liability. Everyone, let's go ahead. Interest shall be calculated from which day? From the day succeeding the due date. For an example, due date was 20th. 21st day you will be liable to pay the interest till the date of payment. So 21st to 30th you will be liable to pay the interest. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30. 10 days ka interest you will be liable to pay. Sir, for an example, I have gone ahead and taken extra input tax credit. Baba, always remember, if you have gone ahead and taken any extra input tax credit and the officer catches you, they will go ahead and take the extra input tax credit from you back. Undue or excess claim of input tax credit or undue or excess reduction in the output tax liability, you will be liable to pay interest at the rate of 24%. Done, sir. Point is clear. We are done with our chapter of payment of taxes. Payment of taxes chapter में, if you go ahead and see, there is a small amendment which is there. Sir, what is the amendment in the chapter of payment of taxes? Everyone listen to me very carefully. Earlier, this proviso when you read, here levied word was there. Now payable word has been added. Simple, there is no amendment at all. Earlier also you were paying interest on the net tax liability. Now also you are going ahead and paying the interest on the net tax liability. Then sir, what is the actual amendment? See, Finance Act when 2019 came, Finance Act 2019 mein they had gone ahead and told you have to go ahead and pay interest on the net tax liability. But they went ahead and later told that Finance Act 2019 mein when we are telling that interest is to be paid on net tax liability, CBIC went ahead and released a press release and told that net tax liability pay interest has to be paid. CBIC went ahead and told that net tax liability pay interest has to be paid. This is retrospectively effective. But then they had to go ahead and write it down in the law, and the same thing they went ahead and wrote it in the law, but they made a small change by Finance Act 2019. They told, see, in section number 15 of the CGST Act, the following provisos shall be inserted. In section number 50 of the CGST Act, the following provisos shall be inserted, shall be substituted, means they have replaced this with this, same to same, but it shall be deemed to have been substituted with effect from 1st day of July 2017. It means net tax liability be you are required to pay interest on net tax liability. This they went ahead and told is effective retrospectively from 1st of July 2017. It means from 1st of July 2017, whenever you are going ahead and paying the interest always had to be paid on the net tax liability. That's all is the amendment. For your exam purpose, nothing relevant. You have to remember interest was payable on net tax liability, now also payable on net tax liability. A graded chapter, Baba. You don't know this chapter, you will definitely be in loss in the exam. Sir, what are the points which are important? I believe they can go ahead and ask something on 86A, 86B. This set off, how to set off input tax credit against the output tax liability is very, very important. You must know it. Then interest, you remember net tax liability we have to go ahead and pay. That's all is something which is important from this chapter. Remaining, I believe you should go ahead and practice question answers. That is very, very important. I will go ahead and close my chapter of payment of taxes over here, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoyed, then go ahead and quickly like the video and don't forget to subscribe the channel. We are done. We are done over here with our chapter of payment of taxes.